Hello everyone, thanks for watching. Just wanted to do a quick tutorial to sort of get you started in using not only Node but also Express. Node is basically a JavaScript language that has Chrome's V8 engine built into it, and so it allows it to sort of um, run inside the browser. I'm sorry, it allows it to run it outside of the browser, sort of behind the scenes. And Express is just a sort of simple way to, it's a framework that you can use in combination with Node. Like a lot of frameworks, it's basically um, functions and methods that other people have written to make things a little bit easier for the rest of us. Um, so we're just going to dive right into it. And I have Atom text editor, which I prefer because my name is Adam and it kind of makes sense. And also I'm on Windows, so I have a command prompt window open. And so we're just going to get started. Okay, so what we first want to do is, what I like to do is you make a folder on your desktop. You can name it whichever. I'll just call it Express sample. Close that. Then in Atom, go File, Add Project Folder. Go back to your desktop, of course. Where are we? Express example. Open that up, and since we're strictly doing Node and Express and all, so we're just going to create a new file. We'll call that server.js, which is somewhat common. And that's it in terms of our file. So we have that. So let's go into here. Now I already have Node installed on this machine, so if you want to install it, obviously, if you're doing this project, so just go to Node. I forget what. Oh, here it is. NodeJS.org. Click download. Recommended for most users. This is just the latest features, but it could possibly cause some problems with bugs and stuff like that. So just go with this one here on the left. You'll be all set. There's the docs. Gives you all your things that you can do. But we're not going to necessarily concern ourselves with that. We are going to install, I guess, one thing that we need, which is Express, the main thing. And Express is certainly the one of the most popular in terms of creating a server that can go and get information. So we're going to do a couple of things. So we're going to do npm I express, and we'll also add body parser, which helps us parse JSON as a return into the browser. I'm not sure if we'll get that far, but I'm just going to do it now just in case. And there we go. It's going to install. It takes a few seconds, 5 or 10 seconds, to work its magic. npm, and there we go. So now it's going to install it, and we can use it for this particular Express example. Next thing we want to do real quick is npm I nodemon, which is a really nice thing. So basically what nodemon does is, rather than, because each time we make a change or save, we would have to come into the command prompt, and you'll see that a little bit later, and cancel the server and then restart it each time we make a change. Whereas nodemon does that automatically. It waits for it, sees a change, and then it makes a change in the browser. It sees the change and then restarts it and reruns it. Okay, so here we are. So first thing that we got to do is bring in Express, of course, and we do that by creating a const called Express equals to require, because we want to require this thing in parentheses and single quotes, and then we want to type just Express, because this is, it's already installed, and that's it. Okay, so that's the first line. That's absolutely what you need, because this particular file needs to know that we're using Express from Node modules. All right. The next thing we want to do is create an app variable that we can use later on. Const. So we're going to do const app, and this is pretty standard. It's all in the documentation. And we're going to set app equal to the Express function. I mean, this is fairly standard. One thing we're going to do it sort of ahead of time is we're also going to set a variable. We're going to store our port variable in a const, and that'll make sense a little bit later when we set up the port. You'll see what I'm talking about. So const port equals, we're going to keep this really simple. We're not deploying this or anything like that, so we're just going to keep it real simple. So we're going to say port 3000, which is where our browser is going to look. So that's that. Now we're going to do this real simple. I don't think I'll get into any actual JSON data. I mean, maybe I'll do a second video if I get some time, and we'll work with some JSON data and displaying it in the browser, stuff like that. So now we want to do a GET request. So we're going to do app, which is this variable up here, which uses Express dot get parentheses, single quotes, and a hash, which means the root folder. And then we're going to do our parameters, because this is a function, technically a callback function. We're going to do a request, comma, and a response, because we want to have access to both of those. And then, because it's good practice to use ES6 JavaScript in Node, it's certainly the way things are going, so you might as well. Instead of typing out the old school, quote-unquote old school, function, and then my function, and then parentheses, and then your curly braces, instead of doing that, we do what they call an arrow function, which is just equal sign and the right-facing arrow, okay? And then we do our curly braces, and then inside that we want to decide what we're going to do. All right, so a request parameter we can use, but in this case, since we just want to make sure things are working, we do this. We target the response attribute, or the response parameter. So response dot send parentheses, and then we'll just do like hello world, which is pretty standard in the beginning. And that's it. That's really the main bulk of your server. One last thing, important thing that we have to do is our port, and I told you this one up here would come back to us. So we have to tell the the server, which is what this is. We're creating a server. We have to tell it where to listen. Now, when you deploy, that's a different story. There's something else that you would have to do, but for right now, just to test and play around with it, again, this is really super simple. So we have to tell it where to listen, app.listen to, and then we use our variable, which is the one up here, so port equals 3000, comma, and then I think you do function, it takes a callback function, and we'll just console.log, app running on, hang on a sec. So I'm going to use, for this, just to make it a little fancy, I'm going to use backticks for this. So the backticks are the little ticks on your keyboard located left of the number 1. And then inside that we say app is running on port, and then because this is I forget what these are called. I should probably remember. I'm having a moment here. So inside of that we do a this is all part of the ES6. We do $sign and curly braces, and then we do our variable port, and that will dynamically put it in there. Okay. So let's test this. So let's save all. Okay, and then in our command line now, we're going to type cd for change directory. I got to go to desktop, but you know that's where you would go, slash, and the name of our folder, which is up here, express example, whatever your folder name would be, express dash example. Okay, now see here, so we're desktop express example, so we're in that folder, and all we got to do, because we installed nodemon, we just type in nodemon and then the name of our file, name of our server file, which is just server. You don't have to put .js. You can, it'll still do the same thing, but unnecessary, but up to you. Let's see. Okay, now it says we have an error. Okay, so you probably don't need this. Dealio, let's see if that works. There we go. Alright, so app is running on, and I spelled apps wrong, whatever, doesn't matter. So app, this is actually a good way to show you nodemon. So normally, if I made that little change and I went up and saved, I would have to come over here and cancel and then restart. But instead, I just come up here, save all, and then see how nodemon restarting due to change. So especially, and in fact, typically developers only use nodemon strictly as a dev dependency. They don't, you know, it's not used in production. Okay. So that's it. And then if you want to check, we can go into our browser, localhost, port localhost :3000, and then there we get our message, hello world. In fact, we can check, we can change this message to say, my express server. Save all, restarts due to changes, come in here, refresh, and this is my express server. Alright, so I mean that's it. I mean, and with this basic information, I mean there's a little more to it, but with this basic information you can do things like serve up HTML files, static HTML files, you can serve up JSON data, you can contact, you can create routes, all types of stuff. You know, there's a lot of versatility, and normally if you did this with just NodeJS, there would be a lot more lines here, but this is really it, you know. And even this line you can get rid of and just type 3000 here, that's fine. You know, whatever. Okay, so I mean that's it. Alright, thank you. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it.